Hello everyone and welcome back to Always Watching. Today we are discussing the new episode of The Last of Us. We are coming to the sad and sobering reality that Joel is indeed dead. The episode starts off with the aftermath of the attack on Jackson and then jumps 3 months. And I'm not really sure if this episode was the best use of time. I would have to wait and see how the other episodes evolve. In some ways, I do think it was a necessary evil. Viewers are still mourning Joel's loss and I was still triggered. When Ellie goes to his room and starts going through all his stuff, especially when she started sniffing his jacket, I felt like I was sniffing his jacket as well. Like, it still hurts. Watching Tommy's reaction to Joel's face was heartbreaking because Joel was not just shot. Whoever killed him hated him. We haven't had enough time to acclimatize to this new version of Ellie, and I think one more season with Joel might have helped, but again, I have to wait and see. Instead of the upcoming flashbacks we are going to get, they could have just played out those episodes, and by the time season 3 rolls around, we would have been ready for his death. But from what I've read, this is pretty spot on when in comparison to the game, because Joel does die early on in the game. I felt this episode was ambitious in that it starts to unpack Ellie's rationale for wanting to avenge Joel's death and starts poking holes in it. She wakes up from a nightmare of Joel being killed. Like Abby, she now has this image replaying in her head over and over again. I thought the scene at the hospital is likely what Abby felt when she found her father dead on the ground. And so Ellie now has a taste of what Abby had been going through. Joel is the only person that night that was murdered. And you get a sense that everyone is familiar with his really nasty reputation. We spend a lot of time with this psychiatrist, which at first felt kind of wasted. And her only purpose was to alert us to the fact that maybe Ellie isn't as altruistic as she appears. At the start of season 2, we're introduced to an Ellie that's so good at killing infected, it feels second nature. She's clearly not the same morally conflicted girl we meet in season 1 who would probe Joel about whether or not he's killed innocent people. Her concept of innocence and guilt has blurred since then. It's highly likely that Ellie had a conversation with Joel regarding what happened with the Fireflies, and this is probably a conversation we will get as a flashback. Assuming Ellie knows what happened with the Fireflies, then she must know that Abby is justified. There's a difference between wanting revenge for revenge's sake and then demonizing the person you're trying to get revenge against. I noticed that Ellie's self-perception has been completely warped. In one scene, she sees a dead body and she believes that not only Abby's group killed these people with the scars, but Abby must have done it herself. And she frames Abby as this individual that would kill children. And you can tell that she's starting to put herself in opposition to her, so she's not only justified in killing her, but morally right in doing so. And I think that's where her character starts to walk a very slippery slope. Now, in terms of pacing, this episode was brutal because The Last of Us season 1, every episode felt like a movie. And I think with the limited episodes available, we needed a bit more. I think there was a missed opportunity, especially with these people we meet with the scars on their face. I assumed as soon as Dina and Ellie left Jackson, they would have some encounter with these scars and that would kind of kick off the episode, but that never happened. I thought Tommy's decision not to go with them made the episode feel a lot slower as well. The purpose of this episode was for the audience to acclimatize to Dina and Ellie. However, they were not enough to hold our attention and especially create this sense of urgency. In addition, maybe it's just me, but Ellie and Dina looked so small and I just had a tough time believing they could survive out there. I mean, there's a difference between killing infected and killing human beings, something that they did not look well equipped for. I thought Ellie punching the bags and even holding her rifle when she was trading rifles with Seth, I'm like, this rifle is bigger. This rifle is bigger than she is. And I wish they leaned more into Ellie's leadership skills instead of trying to make her this conventional action hero. There is a moment in this episode where one of the members of this group of people with scars on their face explains what a prophet is. And a prophet in this context is a person who sees truths that others don't and is willing to go through great lengths to make people aware of them. And I think the show could have played more into Ellie's immunity and given her this prophet status. I think that maybe would have worked, especially given her frame, like instead of having her punch bags. From season 1, we've seen that she's a very independent young girl and she's very smart. I mean, she's able to brainstorm ideas and she's able to see through people quite quickly. So what she lacks in physicality, she makes up for in mental strength. And I honestly believe if she was with Joel that day, she would have clock that something was wrong with Abby. And I wish, we'll see how this show evolves, but I like the idea of Ellie devising plans and having people who are capable of executing these plans go with her. This lack of urgency in the episode is also coupled by this 3-month time jump. Tommy's attitude towards his brother, to me, made perfect sense because he's thinking practically, and this is an apocalypse. And things like funerals, like you don't really have time to grieve because you're always in survival mode. In addition, Tommy has a family to worry about. And I also think the decision to have Dina with Joel that day and not Tommy also affected Tommy's decision making, because had he seen his brother killed, then he definitely would have gone the next day. Like, he would not have waited so long. This episode does give us some nuance into Jackson and what's going on in this town and the dynamics of this town, and I wonder if this will be useful in later episodes. I thought it was very telling how Jesse refused to be transparent with Ellie regarding how the town will likely vote. Jesse is in line to take over responsibility of this town once Tommy, I guess, passes. And Jesse, we haven't seen that much of him, and I almost wish he went with them, because he's a character that for me adds a lot of charisma on screen, and I believe that he's someone that can kill humans and the infected, and he seems very rule-bound and someone who, like, he sympathizes with Ellie, but at the same time he's not willing to follow her blindly. And I think that's the other issue with Ellie's character so far, is that as well liked as she is, she doesn't have that cult following. Now, this is a cult following that definitely could have been generated with members of this town. Like, the only thing about this town hall meeting is how divided they were and how perhaps this division could benefit Ellie. Most people in this town were not in favor of avenging Joel's death. As far as they are concerned, these people are not coming back. It was very clear they came here to kill one man, and they killed that man. Like, they were not attacked by raiders. This was a group of people that were very focused on one target, and it seems like they had their reasons. I thought Seth's speech, this man who is very homophobic towards Ellie, was very telling. A huge theme in the show is tribalism. And in absence of a central government, people really have to go through great lengths to protect the people they love. And everything Seth's saying made sense. He said, listen, if we don't get revenge, people are going to come back at us. People are going to know we're weak. And Jackson is as close to a normal world as we have seen. But there's a bigger, scarier world out there. And if rumor gets around that not only was this man killed, but there was really nothing done about it, then who's to say who else is going to come for them next? And the show tries to make these larger social commentaries, some more explicitly than others. And I hope it's relevant. Like, I hope we didn't waste time, because these social divisions will become really important, especially when Tommy goes out with Dina and Ellie. Like, what will Jesse's reaction be? And this community is very unique in that it accepts everyone and it doesn't really treat them badly. And I wonder if it's possible to be banned from this community. And so we would have to wait and see, because they introduced a lot. And so if they don't really come back to it, or if this doesn't tie in somehow, it will have been a waste of time. I thought the time we spent with Dina and Ellie this season was needed, but it was so slow and poorly paced. I also felt like they didn't have enough presence to really hold our attention without some type of support. And by support, I mean Tommy, or some type of action. Like, this whole thing with the scars, I haven't played the game, but the whistling thing is really scary, and I think they could have maybe played with that. Like, Dina and Ellie go on this long, calm journey all the way to Seattle, and it just feels too chill. And I think the audience is not emotionally connected or even really intrigued by these characters to care about their well-being. And so some type of tension was needed, especially following the last episode. They reached Seattle with no pushback. We are again introduced to Abby's crew, and this group led by Jeffrey Wright, who I really pray adds some much needed energy. So these are my thoughts on the latest episode. Again, I'm torn. I think it is customary when a major character dies that you do have a slower episode. However, given the context of the show, because it takes place during essentially an apocalypse, you gotta move fast. I mean, the town had been rebuilt. There's really no reason to just get on the road and start. You guys let me know what you think. Did Ellie and Dina hold your attention? Did you find that this was compelling and engaging enough for you, or did you need a little bit more? So I'm holding out. Again, I don't have a bird's eye view yet, I know the gamers do. Now we just have to wait and see.